If you're a creative professional or a creator of any sort, the world of generative AI has the potential to completely change the way you work. Whether you work with text, images, video, audio, or all of the above, it's time to prepare for a new creative landscape where artificial intelligence can help you supercharge ideation and jumpstart innovation. At the same time, you need to be aware of the potential issues and ethics that come with this very powerful technology. I'm Ashley Kennedy, and I manage the LinkedIn Learning Staff Instructor team. We're a group of passionate power creators in the world of e-learning, and generative AI has the potential to touch countless aspects of our daily work, probably just like you. So let's go on this journey together to learn, analyze, and plan the best ways to incorporate generative AI into our creative lives. It might seem incredible, but we're now in an age where in a matter of minutes, I can create a well-written blog post to promote my business, design some unique artwork options to accompany it, generate a nice background music track for my podcast, and put together some snappy social media posts to promote it all. All of this is thanks to the power of generative artificial intelligence. Generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence where people can prompt a computer to create new, original content like text, images, video, audio, and more. This is all accomplished via a special type of machine learning. Let's talk about how this works. When an AI model is originally created, it's fed training data. Lots and lots of training data. Images, text, voice recordings. It depends on the type of AI being trained. But in each case, the AI learns through the input of massive amounts of information. Once the AI model has been trained, people can ask it to make something new. In many cases, this happens by writing a short piece of text called a prompt. The AI model then attempts to create a novel artifact, an image, a collection of text, or an audio or video recording. If done well, the results reflect what the prompt asked for, whether that's a realistic photo, a futuristic image of a robot, a poem, or a set of instructions. Let's take an example of image-based generative AI. If an AI model is fed thousands of images of a horse and is taught by people that each of those images is a horse, it eventually learns what a horse should look like. Then, when a person asks it to create a horse, it generates a completely authentic-looking, unique image of a horse that doesn't actually exist on Earth. This alone is pretty neat, but as you can see here, this can get really intricate. Generate a blue horse crossing a river in the darkness under a full moon in the style of Van Gogh. Pretty amazing, right? And if that doesn't impress you, take a look at this website, which is full of people's faces who don't actually exist. Things work similarly for text-based generative AI. Let's take the example of ChatGPT, which is trained on a massive data set of human-generated text from the internet. When a person provides a prompt, ChatGPT uses patterns and relationships it learned from the training data to generate a unique response. If we go back to my examples from earlier, let me show you the type of prompt that generated my personal blog post. Notice how I define the tone, as well as the main details I want to emphasize. And here's my prompt for my snappy social media posts. Pretty straightforward, but it's a great way to mass create useful social content. There's a lot of excitement about this tech. Already, creative pros use image-based generation tools to brainstorm and ideate. Professionals use text generation tools to streamline all sorts of writing. And people with communication challenges use tools to help them overcome their impairments. At the same time, some people have fear and skepticism about this tech. Some are scared that synthetic media like deepfakes could deceive entire populations, or that jobs traditionally done by people may disappear or change. There are also concerns around ethics, copyright, and bias. Positive, negative, and in between, all of these reactions are valid. This technology is evolving rapidly, and we're all on this journey together. But we each have a say in where this journey takes us. Because after all, for generative AI to be used effectively, people must be involved every step of the way. You need people to train the AI and to provide valuable feedback to improve and maintain its accuracy. You need people to create well-crafted prompts, and you need people to thoughtfully check, analyze, and edit the results. Yes, generative AI will certainly change how many of us live and work, but the collective spark of our humanity is something we can't underestimate. We need clever, creative, collaborative people to make it all work. It's up to each of us to learn about the creative possibilities, the issues, and the ethics of this powerful technology. And that's what we'll spend the rest of this course exploring. The multifaceted power of generative AI cannot be denied. And admittedly, there's a lot to unpack about this tech. Here, I'd like to lay out many of its positive benefits at a high level, mostly in terms of content creation. Before I do, I'd like to invite you to think about the last project or campaign that you created original content for. How long did it take? How many people were involved? How much ideation and research went into your prep? What more would you have liked to have done that you didn't have the time or resources for? Now that you've thought about your past experiences, let's talk about some ways the process could be different in the future. Let's start with increased efficiency and speed. Generative AI automates tasks that were previously done manually, which can result in a lot of saved time, money, and resources. Not only that, but because generative AI spans across many different media, text, images, video, audio, and more, it allows people and businesses to generate content beyond their core areas of expertise. This improvement in efficiency can also create additional ideation opportunities. That is, since it's so fast and easy to generate content, it's also fast and easy to quickly try out many different things during the brainstorming phases of a project. In fact, many use generative AI solely for ideation and research, to get dozens of ideas and different versions of those ideas into the mix before bringing the project to the next phase. This, in turn, offers creators the opportunity to explore new creative realms. Generative AI can also produce high-quality results across a diverse spectrum. The breadth of training data provides AI models a huge range of influences from which to create content. That diverse data often results in the creation of more diverse content. And when used thoughtfully, this enables people and businesses to create content that may appeal to a wider range of people. This quality and diversity of content continues to improve as content creators get more skilled at creating high-quality prompts. On this note, there are countless prompt generation resources entering the market, all to help people learn how to generate the best prompts to create the best content. Generative AI also has the ability to be extremely personalized. It's able to offer customized experiences by responding to very detailed prompts based on the preferred content, style, aesthetic, and use case of a target audience. This lets people and businesses create content that is more relevant to their target audience, which can result in more engagement, reach, and overall success. The last thing I'll mention is improvements in accessibility. Generative AI offers opportunities for people with disabilities to create and interact with content. For example, tools like text-to-speech and sign language animations offer solutions to people with hearing or vision impairments. There are countless other benefits of generative AI, but this is a high-level look at the types of ways that it can improve the human experience. Through all of this, the main benefit I hope to drive home is that this is a tool creative professionals can use to move easier and faster through the initial stages of the creative process without actually replacing the creative process. It's about injecting AI into creativity so that people get to a more fleshed out starting point and have the opportunity to explore broader and deeper creative pursuits from there. In this chapter, we'll take a high-level look at some of the ways generative AI is changing the creative industry beyond these broad benefits that I've already mentioned. There are countless creative fields that use generative AI: social media, advertising, marketing, product design, gaming, film and television, music, fashion, and more. Pretty much any industry where people create content has the capacity to be retooled, rethought, or reinvented with the advent of generative AI. This field is changing at a blazing pace. So here's a little disclaimer. The tools I'm going to talk about are evolving quickly, and by the time you're watching this, they may look and work differently than what you'll see here. But what won't change are a couple of fundamental concepts that we're going to look at in this course. First, AI tools have the ability to create text, images, audio, and video, and as a result, they have the potential to be amazing creativity co-pilots. Most of these tools are separate, but over time, the line between categories may blur and consolidate. But even if the look and the features change, the fundamental value of generative AI for creative endeavors isn't going to change. In fact, you can bet that generative AI tools are only going to get better and more valuable to creative pros. Second, even as these tools evolve, the opportunities, issues, and ethics of this technology are likely to remain in one form or another. As a creative pro, you should be aware of the issues and look at each new or enhanced tool through that lens. Okay, are you ready? Let's dive in. Using generative AI to help draft and write new content is revolutionizing entire industries, as well as enhancing personal and professional workflows everywhere. Let's drop back and talk about how this works at a high level. Generative AI language processing technologies, large language models like GPT-3 and GPT-4, learn on massive training data sets. In this case, it's text and code from the internet, from articles, books, web pages, Wikipedia, and more. Many, many billions of words. Then, the large language models learn by using probability to guess the next words of text in answer to a prompt. During initial testing phases, people supervise the process. As the AI model provides answers to prompts, these human supervisors teach it correct answers, helping to build its knowledge. Now, subsequent training phases ask the AI model to offer multiple answers to a prompt, and then human supervisors rank the answers from best to worst. Each of these training phases is important in teaching prediction, comparisons, relationships, and more. Over time, the AI model improves its understanding of prompts and increases the likelihood that it will produce good, correct, well-rounded responses using human-like text. ChatGPT is an AI chatbot built on GPT technology. Drawing from its vast knowledge base, it communicates and generates human-like text in response to a wide range of prompts and questions. Here's a summary of just some of the high-level things ChatGPT can do. That is a lot of power. Let's get more specific for a moment and assume the role of a small business owner creating various social media materials. I can use ChatGPT to ideate a collection of potential marketing campaign themes, draft a cross-section of social media copy for different social media platforms, translate my marketing copy to other languages, write the first draft of a tone-specific article that I can then modify and make my own, and so on and so forth. If we assume the role of an academic, ChatGPT can help me summarize all sorts of dense research content, ideate and generate new research ideas, generate interview questions on any given topic, take a first pass on grading the most basic aspects of student work, allowing me to dive deeper with my own personal evaluation, and so on and so on. The possibilities are truly endless across a wide variety of roles and professions. Now, realize that these prompts are often carefully crafted and honed over several trial and errors. Arriving at the best nuanced wording for AI prompts is an art in itself. It's called prompt engineering, and it's a growing and important part of successful generative AI strategy. There are many resources available on the web to help you write better prompts. So far, we've just been using ChatGPT. It's called prompt engineering, and it's a growing and important part of successful generative AI strategy. There are many resources available on the web to help you write better prompts. So far, we've just been using ChatGPT, which was created by OpenAI, a research laboratory whose mission is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. Other companies have also integrated GPT technology, including Microsoft when they created Bing Chat. One main difference is that while ChatGPT is currently limited by its training data, which at the time of this recording has an upper limit of data until September 2021, Bing Chat has access to the entire internet. This means it can provide answers related to current events, and it also lets you confirm your sources, a huge plus to ensure accurate results. It also provides various fine-tuning controls. For example, it offers different response modes: creative, precise, and balanced. Creative mode offers responses that are more original and imaginative. Precise mode offers responses that are more factually accurate. And balance attempts to provide a nice mix between the two. Google Bard is a similar chatbot, but it uses a different large language model called Lambda. Like Bing Chat, it leverages the power of the internet, more specifically, Google's search engine. As of this recording, Google Bard is still in beta and will undoubtedly evolve rapidly. But one valuable feature it offers right out of the gate is to automatically provide multiple drafts of responses. These big three, ChatGPT, Bing Chat, and Google Bard, are currently the most powerful text-based generative AI tools and serve broad applications across many industries. But there are also AI solutions that have been fine-tuned to cater to specific sectors. For example, AI-powered writing assistants like Jasper AI also use GPT technology, but have been fine-tuned for specific business and marketing applications and customer bases, resulting in optimized and SEO-friendly content. Here's a list of other powerful AI writing assistants that are likewise optimized for different types of business use cases. Most have template libraries, grammar checkers, plagiarism checkers, and more. Some are free to use, others require a subscription. Depending on your industry, some may be more helpful and optimized than others. As with all generative AI, the goals of these tools aren't necessarily to totally replace human content creation altogether. Rather, they aim to enhance the creative process so people don't start from a blank slate. By giving creators an informed, optimized, fleshed out starting point, they offer greater and deeper opportunities to research, ideate, strategize, and create. Let's now talk about image-based generative AI, which opens whole new worlds of visual possibilities. There are a few categories of this type of tech that I'd like to cover. One is text-to-image AI, which we'll explore in this video, and the other is image-to-image AI, which we'll explore in the next video. Text-to-image AI works by writing text-based prompts to create visual imagery. Content creators can generate artwork or create images for marketing, product, social media, and more. There are quite a few text-to-image AI solutions and more coming onto the market all the time, but I'm going to begin by talking a bit about one of the biggest ones, DALL-E. Like ChatGPT, it was developed by OpenAI and is built on GPT technology, where neural networks learn the relationships between words and images. DALL-E can create images with a wide variety of concepts, tones, and styles. As with text-based AI, it's often necessary to hone your prompt through trial and error to get the desired result. Take a look at this image created with the generic prompt of a beautiful sunrise. Again, these are photos of sunrises that don't actually exist on Earth. They're simply generated by teaching the AI model what a sunrise should look like. And now we'll hone in with more descriptive language regarding content and style. A beautiful sunrise in a watercolor style featuring mostly cool colors with one dark tree silhouette in the foreground. All right, and then from there, I'm able to choose any of the images and create multiple variations. And I can edit the image using techniques like in-painting and out-painting. In-painting means that I can erase certain elements within the image and then regenerate the prompt with new information, and it will fill in the erased portion with new elements. Outpainting means I can extend the frame of the image in any direction and it will match the environment. And it conveniently provides multiple variations of the outpainted frame that I can choose from. Let's move on from our sunrise, and I'll show you 3 other DALL-E prompts and their corresponding image results, which we'll use for comparison purposes throughout the rest of this video. Stable Diffusion is another popular text-to-image AI model. It works a bit differently under the hood, but rather than explain the tech, I'd simply like to show you some side-by-side results. Let's input our same sunrise prompt to see how Stable Diffusion handles it. Stable Diffusion has various fine-tuning controls too, such as the guidance scale, and this tells the model how closely it should follow your text prompt. The stronger the guidance, the closer it sticks to your prompt. And here are the 3 additional comparison prompts and images so you can see how Stable Diffusion results compare to DALL-E. Keep in mind, these are just images created for me during one particular image generation session. You will always get a completely unique result, but I just wanted to give you a sense of how it compares in a very general sense. Let's now take a look at another model called Midjourney, which is very effective at generating highly artistic images and environments, often with dramatic lighting and fantasy vibes. As of version 5, Midjourney has become really good at generating extremely realistic images. In fact, some of the more controversial AI images that have gone viral on the internet were created in Midjourney. That takes us into potential deepfake territory, which we'll talk about later in the course. Let's input the same sunrise prompt to see the types of images that Midjourney generates. Midjourney allows for additional fine-tuning as well, things like upscaling and creating different variations of the original generated images. And again, here are our 3 comparison images so you can see how Midjourney compares to the first 2. Again, this is just a moment in time, but I think it's useful to compare and contrast. And then there's Adobe with its recently introduced Firefly AI generator, currently in beta, which lets you create images, photo, art, graphics, text effects, and vector art with impressive control of style, color, tone, lighting, and more. Firefly is integrated within the Adobe Creative Cloud apps, which means you can use it directly with applications like Photoshop, Illustrator, and After Effects. All right, so one more time, here is our beautiful sunrise prompt and our 3 comparison images to show you how Adobe Firefly stacks up to the others. As of the time of this recording, these are some of the most popular text-to-image generative AI solutions, but there are certainly others, with more being added all the time. Here are some others that you might like to try out. There are a couple of main areas that differentiate these tools. One is the difference in the end result. Some tools just do a better job with certain types of images. Another difference is the way you interact with the tool. For example, Firefly has a more graphical interface. The others have a more text-based interface. Between the image quality and the tooling, you may find yourself preferring one tool over others. The good news is you can try most every tool for free. And again, while some people do use these to generate final results, many others like to use them for research, ideation, storyboarding, and other introductory stage creative tasks. Let's now explore image-to-image generative AI. That simply means that new images are generated from existing images. These AI models are typically designed using a machine learning model that includes 2 neural networks, a generator and a discriminator. The generator, which is trained on a data set of real images, creates the imagery. The discriminator is trained on the same data set, but is designed to determine whether or not the images are real. Over time, both the generator and the discriminator improve at their respective jobs until the image generator is able to create new imagery with exceptional accuracy. Image-to-image generative AI models are often harder to train than text-to-image AI. That's because they need to learn the relationship between images and their corresponding visual traits, like shape, color, texture, lighting, and more. Contrast that with text-to-image AI, which focuses mainly on learning relationships between text and images. In general, this means that image-to-image generative AI creates more realistic imagery consistent with the input image. There are many different use cases for this type of technology. Like text-to-image AI, it can be used to create art and other original imagery. But it's also an effective tool to create a wide variety of interesting face filters, like changing someone's age, or generating a collection of professional headshots or profile photos, or interesting avatars. You can also create different lighting scenarios for an image. You can restore, up-res, and enhance low-res or noisy images, or add color to black and white photos. You can transfer the style from a specific painting or art movement from any time in history, or transform a basic sketch into a complete synthesized image. There are also ways to combine text-to-image and image-to-image AI. Most text-to-image AI programs let you upload an original image and then use text to alter it however you like. As you can imagine, because you're working with your own assets, image-to-image AI is often most useful when you want to garner specific results. Maybe you need a specific color palette or composition, or you want to add AI-generated elements to an existing image. That's contrasted with text-to-image AI, where you start with a blank slate and see what the AI comes up with. Here's one way of looking at it. When you provide some type of starter image, it's a bit like sending a rough sketch to a designer and telling them, here's what I have in mind, now do a refined version. When you're starting from scratch with just a text prompt, it's a little like saying, here's what I have in mind, see what you can come up with. That isn't a perfect comparison, of course, but you get the idea. Both aspects of AI-powered image generation are useful, and both can be great tools for brainstorming, ideation, and creative inspiration. We know that image-based generative AI is about creating new imagery from existing images or from text prompts. Well, what is video except for many images one after another? Take 30 frame per second video. That's 30 images every second. So in terms of AI technology, we're not only talking about the two-dimensionality of the video frame, but we're also talking about the added dimension of time. That means that video-based AI isn't just about generating new frame information, but also about predicting and generating new frames over time. Let's take a look at some of the possibilities, starting with some basic video enhancements and restoration practices. First, AI can be used for upscaling, deinterlacing, motion interpolation, and more. These are highly effective ways to reduce artifacting and noise, significantly up-res video, and inject crisp detail, all within AI models that were trained on large video datasets. AI can also enhance, repair, and add color to black and white video. It can also be an effective way to add or remove elements within the video frame. And speaking of changing elements within a video frame, another powerful form of video-based AI is deepfake technology. Deepfake, which is a combination of the phrases deep learning and fake, is synthetic media where a person in a video is replaced with someone else's likeness. It's not simply a face or voice swap. It's a highly complex form of artificial intelligence that learns unique visual and oral characteristics about a subject and then maps that onto another subject. This means that people can be made to say something they never actually said.
Our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. That's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources.
I have an entire course that discusses all aspects of deepfake video, and I encourage you to check that out for a deep dive on this powerful technology. Now, not all deepfakes are meant to deceive. There are certainly also practical and beneficial uses to it. Deepfake technology can be used in the entertainment or e-learning industries to let you record a line or performance correction rather than requiring a full reshoot. And as with image-based AI techniques, it can also be used to age or de-age actors. It can also be used to assist in dubbing foreign languages into videos. The possibilities go on. But rest assured, there are many ways this technology can be used to enhance processes and workflows. The digital video avatar industry is also a huge part of video-based AI. You can create realistic-looking digital avatars that you can make from a photo and either a voice recording or text. This can be a low-budget way of creating a basic explainer video or other marketing content.
Hi, I'm Peter. I'm joining Ashley in this LinkedIn Learning course to let you know that using digital avatars can help personalize your customer experience.
In sales and advertising, video AI can be used for customer personalization. Rephrase.ai creates digital avatars that address people by name during the customer experience. Take a look at this example of a company who created a personalized message of their Biko brand ambassador speaking directly to a customer named Shivam who abandoned his digital cart.
Hi Shivam. I'm sure you love our Biko products, but I noticed that you added some products to your cart but didn't buy them. I totally get it. Sometimes you're about to click buy and you remember something and leave. But let me know if you need any assistance with the product information or at the checkout. Take care.
Text-to-video generative AI is also possible beyond basic talking head footage. We are at the cusp of this type of technology being used to create more intricate video subjects. You'll simply be able to type in a text prompt, and the AI model creates the corresponding video. This type of tech has so many exciting possibilities, including text to video, text and image to video, stylization, and more. The list goes on, and video-based AI continues to evolve at rapid speed. But certainly, this type of tech can continue to empower creators and enhance workflows in many different creative industries. There are many different types of audio-based generative AI, empowering creators to generate brand new audio for human speech, music, and more. Let's take a look at a few examples of how this type of tech can be used to create new samples of the human voice. In the entertainment and e-learning industries, voice cloning technology like Respeecher lets you generate new vocal content. This works by feeding the AI model training data of a person's voice. Then it creates a new voice that sounds exactly like the original. This can be a great time saver in reperforming lines or making verbal corrections. No need to bring the talent back into the studio. Voice cloning creates perfect, brand new audio from the spoken or written word. Let's take a look at this in action.
I love to hear the sound of my own voice, but sometimes I like to have another choice.
I love to hear the sound of my own voice, but sometimes I like to have another choice.
And you can even do it with animal voices. If it's not essential to match the voice to a specific subject, AI models like Synthesis let you enter text to create natural-sounding human speech for audio and video projects. Each voice offers varied speech traits with regard to voice style and tone, emotion, pitch, speech rate, and so on, and are categorized by different audio project types. As I play through these samples, you can see that these depict pretty realistic sounding human speech.
Maybe we can avoid sending these emails to new customers. The first week may be too late for a
Mostly cloudy tonight with showers and thunderstorms and low around 55 degrees.
It's without a doubt the most important revolution in the future of human communication and perception.
Here's a list of some other text-to-speech software that works similarly to create natural-sounding human voice from text input. These tools are impressive, but many of them aren't anywhere near being able to replace a gifted voiceover artist. Their cadence can be a bit off, and even the best of them can't match the emotion and nuance that top-notch voice artists can convey. But in addition to their usefulness for inserting affordable audio and making quick corrections, they're also valuable for creating rough cuts. For example, of commercials where you just want to test out different types of voices or editing styles. There are also some powerful audio-based generative AI technologies used to create music. These musical virtual assistants can generate new songs and sounds, assist in creating musical compositions in different styles and genres, create multiple musical tracks for different instruments, create music tracks that need to fit a specific time duration, and more. Let's cover some of the main use cases for music-based AI. First up, there's AI-driven music composition and arrangement. These tools let you create original, royalty-free music tracks without actually inputting any original source music. The first step is often to define preset style like cinematic, electronic, pop, rock, and so on. You can then further customize parameters like tone, emotion, key, time signature, pacing, instrumentation, and more. Many apps provide additional opportunities to edit the tracks as needed, as well as the ability to take existing music and rearrange it in new and interesting ways. Here are some AI music tools that offer these types of services. There are also lyric generators. We already know that models like ChatGPT can write poems and song lyrics, but there are also lyric-specific apps that cater directly to musicians. You can input the genre, emotion, keywords, and more. Many apps also let you interact with the AI by inputting your own lyrics. Here are some AI lyric generators that you can check out. There are also AI solutions that integrate hardware. Musical instruments and tools like standalone music production stations, keyboards, and digital drum machines incorporate AI assistants that help create and arrange music by suggesting chord progressions, melodies, and drum patterns. Here are some tools that fall into this category of AI music technology. This is just a taste of the audio-based generative AI world, with more technologies coming onto the market all the time. Each of these tools provides creators with AI-assisted methods to enhance their creative process, streamline production process, or both, often as a supplemental tool to inspire innovation rather than as a full human replacement. So far, we've spent most of the course talking about the many benefits and uses of generative AI for creative professionals. Now we'll shift to explore some of the issues and ethics of this powerful technology. I'd like to start by talking broadly about ethics. It's a huge part of the discussion because when you're creating brand new content, there are serious ethical considerations in designing and implementing the AI model. As you can see, if you visit the websites for many of the technologies that we've discussed in this course, most of them have a dedicated ethics page or content policy statement. Responsible AI developers must commit to a strong ethical stance. Now, we obviously won't be able to go through all of them, but I'll show you a representative statement in each category: text, image, video, and audio, to give you a sense of some of these commitments. First, text. Here's a look at ChatGPT's ethical guidelines. As you can see, it highly stresses the importance of user privacy, fairness and impartiality, transparency, safety, and responsibility. If I ask it to write a phishing email, for example, you can see that it refuses the request and explains why it can't ethically do so. Next, images. Here's DALL-E's content policies on preventing harmful generations and curbing misuse. It won't create violent, hate, adult, or political content. It ensures this by manually removing the most explicit content from the training data and by disallowing certain words and names in prompts, as well as implementing human monitoring systems. If I ask it to create images of a gunfight, for example, you'll notice that there isn't a gun in sight, nor any obvious violent connotations within the imagery at all, no matter how many times I generate the prompt. Now, video. Rephrase's ethics policies stresses the importance of consent for any digital avatar they create, as well as strict access standards. They forbid the use of their tech for offensive content and stress the importance of transparency and education. And audio. Respeecher won't allow deceptive uses of the tech. It requires written consent from people whose voices are being used for the training. It also stresses the importance of education, synthetic speech detection, and collaboration with social media platforms to limit or ban unethical content. Responsible AI is serious stuff. After all, with great power comes great responsibility. And these types of ethical commitments are commendable. But they aren't perfect. Neither is the technology itself, or the training data that informs it, or the people who use it. There are many points during the process where issues can arise. We'll spend the rest of this chapter talking about what some of these are. Perhaps the most problematic ethical issue most people think of with this type of technology is deepfakes. Again, deepfakes are AI-generated synthetic media that seem real but aren't. They can make it seem like someone says something that they never said or do something that they never did. Deepfakes can be video, audio, or imagery. They can be created using free, widely accessible software. Take a look at this very convincing deepfake of former President Nixon talking about a moon landing disaster that never happened.
Good evening, my fellow Americans.
Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace.
Deepfakes in entertainment and social media are most often used for relatively harmless amusement, but they could contain significant societal concerns if they're used to deceive masses of people with misinformation or misrepresentation. But certainly, deepfakes in politics have the potential to do much worse if they're used to make political leaders say things that they never said. There are also potential security issues. If deepfakes are used to impersonate people asking for money or resources, it could mean identity theft, fraud, or worse. At the time I'm recording this, there have been many examples of relatively convincing deepfakes in entertainment and some in politics, but most are fairly quickly debunked. That's often because they're able to be detected as phony by the human eye due to abnormalities that might include any of these visual issues, or simply because they were later refuted by proven evidence. However, as deepfake creation technology continues to improve, it will get to the point where it will be impossible for humans to detect them without the assistance of AI. Fortunately, though, this type of AI does exist, and it's improving at similar or better rates than deepfake creation AI. This type of machine learning is able to identify patterns that are indicative of deepfakes with an extreme high degree of accuracy. Responsible AI in action. I'll also add that human detection isn't just about visually spotting abnormalities. It also comes down to common sense and due diligence. If you see any media that doesn't originate from a trusted source, do your part to ensure its authenticity. If something feels off, Google it. Explore fact-checking websites like factcheck.org, PolitiFact, or Snopes to see if it's already been exposed or debunked. Whether deepfakes are detected by humans, AI models, or other outside evidence, one thing is certain: they aren't going away anytime soon. So the better we can learn to live with and learn from this type of generative AI, the better for us all in creating a world where we know what we can trust and what we must verify. Another big ethical issue with generative AI is the issue of what constitutes original and proprietary content. Think about what we already know. Generative AI models are trained on massive amounts of training data. Well, that data, whether it's text, image, video, or audio, was created by a person. That means that someone's original work was used to train the AI model that will eventually create its own novel content. Artists in every industry have raised concerns about this aspect of generative AI. After all, the original creators that provided material to feed the training data weren't given credit, nor in many cases did they get paid or provide consent. Does this mean that the new technology has essentially stolen the intellectual property of many? Normally, there are serious legal consequences if you use someone else's work without permission. All of these are important questions that deserve considerable attention. Also, this can quickly become a slippery slope. Because what happens if AI-created assets are used as training data to inform future AI models? It likely wouldn't take very long for AI assets to be many generations removed from anything original. All of this raises additional issues of payment for creative works. What happens when people and businesses choose AI-created assets instead of hiring an original artist to do the work? What effect will this have on graphic designers, illustrators, photographers, and other creators? It hardly seems fair that creative professionals might end up losing jobs to AI, which may have been trained on their own creative works to begin with. There's also the question of copyright. Since AI-generated assets are technically an original work, who owns the copyright? The company that created the AI model? The person who created the work with a prompt? Nobody? Traditionally, copyright laws protect original works of authorship, whether they be literary, artistic, performative, or musical. That copyright ownership is automatically and immediately bestowed upon the artist, giving them sole right to make copies of the work, distribute it, and so on. Some people may believe you first need to register the copyright at the Copyright Office, but that's not the case. Copyright is automatic. Registering copyright is necessary, however, if you intend to sue someone for copyright infringement. Well, generative AI can fall into any of these literary, artistic, performative, or musical categories. However, there's currently not a clear consensus on who owns the copyright of AI-generated works. As of this recording of this course, the U.S. Copyright Office has stated that AI-generated images are not protectable under current copyright law, as they are not the product of human authorship. That means that artists that create AI-generated works are ineligible to register for copyright. Bottom line, the law on this issue is still rapidly evolving, and we're likely in for many years of legal decisions regarding this complex issue. By the time you're watching this course, there may be clearer rules about all of this stuff. But for now, we're waiting and in many cases submerged in very interesting legal waters. If you're a creative professional that is using generative AI in your workflow and you're worried about potentially violating copyright, there are some things you can do. When writing prompts, don't reference specific artwork or artists or brands or trademarks. Also, consider just using generative AI for ideation and inspiration rather than as the final output. If you commit to either creating your own original work or hiring someone else to do it, you won't enter into the murky waters of who owns the creative work you use. Let's explore the potential for bias in the world of generative AI. When I talk about bias in this way, I'm talking about the generation of content that contains prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another. This can result in content that is offensive, harmful, inaccurate, or misleading. For a taste of this, take a look at this Midjourney image generated from the prompt, "a photo of 3 lawyers." The result? All white men. Here's another prompt, "a photo of 3 laborers." The result? Mostly people of color. How does this happen? Well, what do we know about how generative AI models are trained? They are fed a plethora of training data. This training data was created by humans, and unfortunately, human-created work contains bias. That could include all sorts of prejudicial text. It could also include imagery that might be racist or sexist or classist. It might include inaccurate information or opinions disguised as truths culled from internet forums. It could also simply consist of data that may be overly biased toward a particular point of view or even a particular culture. For example, the most popular AI tools have been trained by Western companies using data sets that skew toward Western culture. This article points out that people in different cultures smile differently. A broad, toothy smile might seem warm and friendly in the United States, but come across as awkward, deceptive, or just wrong in other countries or contexts. And as the old saying goes, garbage in, garbage out. Simply put, this means that if the training data is biased, the AI content may also contain bias. And remember, AI isn't human. It has no understanding that the content it creates might contain stereotypes or harmful depictions. It doesn't realize the answers it provides might skew toward a particular perspective or simply be completely misinformed. And by the time you're entering a prompt, there aren't humans to oversee the result. This leaves people with assets that should not be taken at face value. As you can see, many of these AI models provide warnings about this type of consequence. ChatGPT says it may produce inaccurate information about people, places, or facts. Bard says it may display inaccurate or offensive information. There are some things that could potentially address these types of bias issues. The first lies at the phase where the training data is introduced to the AI model. Human overseers could try to make the data as diverse and unbiased as possible. But then again, are these human overseers completely objective and unbiased? Maybe not. Another approach could be to implement bias detection and mitigation models. These would attempt to identify and remove bias content at the output stage. Now, unfortunately, you don't have too much control over either of these options, since they depend on measures taken by those responsible for designing the AI model. What you do have control over is your own awareness of the potential for bias. You have control not to take AI-generated material at face value. If a piece of AI-generated content doesn't meet your standards for diversity, for example, you can redo it or modify it until it does. And you have control over your dedication to well-rounded research. All of these actions are ways that you can commit to responsible use of generative AI. Another potential problem with generative AI models is that they're difficult to control and the results are difficult to predict and in some cases verify. Now, it's often easy to tell when AI gets an image wrong. Hands and fingers just aren't quite right, or some unfortunate melting faces. But AI-generated text is another story. The grammar might be perfect and the sentences might be well constructed, but the message itself might contain errors or other problems. Here's why. First, generative AI models are complex and nonlinear, using intricate algorithms and neural networks to learn patterns and relationships to create something new. Because of this, it can be difficult to understand how the different parts of the model interact with one another. This may result in unexpected or illogical results, all while the model presents itself as an all-knowing source of truth. Second, generative AI models are trained from massive data sets that are imperfect. These data sets come from a wide variety of disparate sources, and it's difficult to know how this data will interact with one another. Also, as we know, this data is imperfect. It may include biased, inaccurate, or otherwise problematic input. All of this can lead to unexpected, confusing, or illogical output. Third, generative AI models are designed to be stochastic. This means they generate data that follows a probability distribution, predicting the likelihood of something happening, rather than predicting something with certainty. This means the model can generate different outputs from the same inputs. Contrast this with deterministic modeling, which generates data that is always consistent. The plus side of stochastic modeling is that it's a dynamic way to generate creative content. But with that comes the difficulty of control and of prediction. Finally, generative AI models were built to learn from feedback and adapt their output accordingly. Because of this, they're constantly evolving and adapting based on new data and feedback. This also can make the results difficult to predict. Given all of these factors, it's important for each of us to just be aware of these issues. Remain curious, but do not place your trust in generative AI output, particularly text output. Fact-check AI's work or use it to inspire your own original work. For example, if you ask ChatGPT to write a history of your company in a friendly, informal style, use the results as a guide for your own version, substituting in facts such as dates and key milestones with ones that you've gathered with solid research and reputable sources. Current AI models are often an inspiring source of creativity, but they're not always great with facts. Keep that in mind, and you'll be better positioned to take advantage of them. While generative AI may seem like it's uncovering vast new frontiers of creativity, it's also creatively limited. That's largely because the models can't actually produce brand new ideas. They make associations by using past data to inform future creative work. This can prevent the creation of results that are truly original or innovative. Along those lines, AI models are limited by their own algorithms. We know the algorithms use probability distributions to create content that is similar to the training data. Asking the AI model to think outside the box and consider something that is wholly different from the training data often creates unexpected, undesired, and yes, uncreative results. There can also be significant limitations around prompting. AI models can become easily confused if your prompt is too complex or too niche. It can also often take many attempts to tweak your prompt language to get the AI model to understand exactly what you want it to do. This may lead us to settle for something that's close enough rather than getting it right. Contrast this with a human's ability to hone in on perfection, and there's no contest to which is more creative. Another limitation is around recency. As we talked about, many AI models that don't tap into the power of the internet aren't able to access recent data. This can be very limiting if you want to incorporate ultra-timely ideas or concepts into your creative work. What's worse is this limitation isn't always apparent in the AI model's results, so the lack of recent data may produce creatively inaccurate content. Finally, generative AI models aren't really able to describe their creative process. This means we can't truly understand what went into creating the result, which makes it difficult to break down individual parts of the process or to replicate the process to generate new content. So yes, as a rule, generative AI is no match for the power of human imagination. But when used as an ideation and research tool, rather than as a tool to create final works, the supercharged possibilities of AI and human creativity can be a truly awesome combination. Thank you so much for going on this journey with me into the exciting and multifaceted world of generative AI. Hopefully, one of the main messages you got from this course is that there are endless ways creative professionals can use AI to replace, enhance, and heighten various workflows. And certainly, these AI-powered opportunities will only become more prevalent and mainstream. because as powerful as it already is, it still has a long way to go and will undoubtedly continue moving forward extremely quickly. Estimates show the global AI market will reach $190 billion by 2025 and $15.7 trillion by 2030. During this rapid period of innovation, I encourage you to keep your mind open to the innovation, but also commit to staying informed on the issues so that you're able to use AI in the most responsible, ethical, and legal ways possible. Set aside some time to experiment. Try generating some images or assets for a design project. Try out some of the generative video and audio tools to get a feel for their capabilities and their limitations. Generate some creative copy and see how it compares to what you come up with. Sooner or later, you probably will be employing one or more of these tools, and this is a great time to start experimenting. Be inspired to be a part of the generation of people who help usher this technology into the next chapter.